Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. In this video, I'm going to turn a clearance plant that I got from Lowe's into some sort of garden treasure, I hope. I went there looking for something that I could either turn into a topiary or already had some sort of formal look for a container for the front yard. And I found this Beehive Holly in the clearance area. It was only $3. Beehive is an Alex crenata, which is a Japanese holly. You can be able to focus on that. Lots of different Japanese hollies that I've covered on the channel over the years. Sky pencil, which is a super narrow one. Soft touch, compacta. Like I say, lots and lots of different varieties of Japanese hollies. Beehive tends to grow like a little dome that's maybe slightly taller in the middle. It lends itself to being turned into a little pyramid like this. And so you'll frequently see them cut as little pyramids. But if you just left it alone in the ground, it would get almost equally as wide as tall in a super compact dome shape. That's not at all what I'm doing with this one. I just want to, this one's got a lot of dead material in the bottom, and it's unfortunately multi. It was stuck with several different plants in this container, which I would prefer to have a single stuck piece for a topiary, but it is what it is. I'm going to try to figure out how to do this with multiple plants in the pot. We'll see how it goes in a minute. You see all the dead material down here at the bottom. You'll think this plant may be beyond repair, but what I look for to figure out if it's still alive and still salvageable in a clearance area like that is, number one, it has new growth on it. And that little bit of new growth is an indicator that the plant's not beyond repair. Number two, I want to see that there's living roots. Okay, so if I pull this out of this container, and I'll try to bring it closer, we'll try to find some, a lot of the roots did initially die on this plant, but right here we can see new roots coming right there and there and there. There's just a lot of new white root activity on this plant. So I'm comfortable that it's still alive. I'll tell you how this actually ends up happening in a garden center or a box store or wherever. This plant was probably pretty root bound when it got to Lowe's, and it wasn't initially watered, and so when plants get dry, they tend to drop the old foliage. So this thing dropped all the low foliage on it. What ends up actually killing them at retail a lot of times is from here, now it doesn't need very much water because it's got very little green growth left, and then the watering comes, and then it stays too wet and it ends up with root rot. This one has escaped all of that, and it just defoliated down at the bottom, but otherwise is perfectly healthy. I'm gonna bring the camera close. You want a super sharp pair of pruners for this job. I've got bypass pruners so that they'll make clean cuts on these branches. And like I say, I'm just gonna bring the camera closer, and we'll initially cut out all of this dead material from the bottom and see what it looks like at that point. So again, this was actually stuck with multiple plants. There's like 4 or 5 plants that were initially stuck into this container. And here's one right here. It's just completely dead, so that's good. I actually want to eliminate any piece that's completely dead that I can. This one right here, you can see up higher, has some of the growth the green that we're seeing up in the top, but not enough of it to actually make any kind of real difference to how this thing's ultimately going to look. You see that? That one, it's only got one piece of the green up at the top. And so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off at the very bottom as well and eliminate that. Again, sharp pruners is a good idea. Okay, so we've gotten rid of that. Here's another piece over here that seems completely and totally browned out. And so let's eliminate that. If I can hold on to my pruners this morning. Okay. Bypass pruners are not the best for pruning out dead material. Anvil pruners actually are, but I need to make clean cuts, and frequently anvil pruners won't make super clean cuts. Okay, so I got another vertical piece going here. I just want to examine it to see what portion. There's no green on it whatsoever, so let's eliminate that. Boy, already we can start to see this thing is going to, I think it's going to limb up nicely. I've got a crossing piece right here. I don't know if any of it's alive up top, and it appears, honestly, it just appears that none of it is. And it's a crossing piece too. I'd rather have any piece that's kind of crossing over other pieces be gone. Anyway, I think this is 100% dead. Okay, I'm getting pretty aggressive with this guy now. Okay, I think this piece is 100% dead. You see that right there? Okay, and I want to point this out. It's got the piece right here. It's running through the other ones, and it's overlapping them and probably rubbing on them. It's not a good idea to keep that one regardless. So if I cut that one off at the base right there, now we're actually starting to turn this thing into something. Okay, I've got another piece here that's completely dead. It broke off on its own. And another little skinny piece there. This may take a little bit of, okay. All right, now, okay, so now I want to cut off any just super low pieces, whether they have green on them or not. The pieces that are running out to the side right here. These are still alive, but not necessary for our future topiary. So any of this horizontal branching here, same thing here. I'm just going to cut the rest of this brown out. Okay, I've made a big discovery here, which is one of the three of these was completely dead right there. And so I'm coming down here to the bottom and cutting it. So now I'm down to two that are alive side by side there. I've got a little more here to cut off this horizontal branching here on the side. Okay, all right, let's see what we got now. Okay, I think that's all the brown, all the pieces that were actually 100% dead are out of there. And I wish I could separate these two plants completely, but I just can't. But it's better than the 5 or 6 that were in the pot initially. So let's stand back and take a look at what we've got now. So for that being the initial round of cuts, I really, really like it. It's got this little bit of a lean to it right here, and then the top heads back that direction, which has a, for a Japanese garden would be absolutely perfect. It's obviously not going to be a perfect topiary. It could be though. It could be angled like this when it's planted. And then this side right here allowed to grow out. The trunk's pretty straight, so all I would have to do next year is cut from this side a little bit, and that would force new growth on this side. If you can see what I'm saying right there, I just need to eliminate some of this. If I want to turn it into a perfectly straight topiary, for me, I kind of like it like this. I like the kind of unique character where the trunk is leaning off to one side and the top is heading off to the other side. I do want to come in here though and prune some of this more scraggly growth off the top and just kind of create more of a uniform ball up here. It's November when I'm doing this. I don't want to be super aggressive pruning on this new growth that's on the top. I'm just going after any piece that's sticking out well beyond what is obviously, the little ball at the top. And that's all I'm pruning here. Yeah, let's see. You can see right here on the side, any piece that's sticking out, kind of beyond the edge. Again, you want sharp pruners for this because, especially on this new growth, it's very difficult to, a pair of dull pruners will not cut through it very well. It'll just bend it. Okay, so I'm kind of liking that. Let's see. Little piece on the sides, little couple little low pieces I still want to eliminate here, okay, from the bottom. And so there you go. I'm going to plant this in the container in the front yard and let you take a look at it. So here's this Beehive Japanese Holly in this rectangular container that I have in the front yard. This is about, I guess it's about a 36-inch wide container. That's 2 flowering kale on either side of it and some white pansies in the front of that container. I think this turned out really, really well for a $3 little Japanese holly. Again, I could make this a super formal topiary. You can see that little bit of lean right there. I could straighten that out and then in the spring work on balancing out the top, but I kind of like the lean that's on it, and so I'm going to leave it just like that. This Japanese hollies are hardy in zone 6 to 9. I'm in zone 7B. It should be fine in this container through the winter. If this container was going to stay frozen solid for several days, I probably would offer it some protection. Just move the container closer to the house or bring it on my screened-in porch or something like that. But nothing beyond that. Otherwise it should be absolutely fine. I'll fertilize this container in the late winter. I don't want to be pushing any new growth on it right now, and it should be fine. During the season next year, I will, I'll continue to prune the top on it and refine the ball that's on the top of it during the year next year. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can see updates on this Beehive Japanese Holly topiary. Thanks for watching.